I feel like our strategy is shifting a little bit, much thanks to Robin Levine. Shout out, Robin, if you're watching the replay. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you've been posting in the group. She dug in and did some research. She heard our question last week about, wait, what's the number of this bill again? And it's S4929. Before the bill is even going to see the Senate floor, it's going to have to be approved by the Senate Finance Committee. So there are 26 members. It's a bipartisan group, half Democrat, half Republican. And they're going to have to review. And in the review process, they do have the opportunity to make amendments. So the bill as it stands may not look exactly the way that it looks by the time it gets to the Senate committee. And Robin's suggestion, which I think is what we should go for, is to target these 26 Senate Finance Committee members and specifically write to them to show our support for the bill and make any suggestions that we have so that it gets to see the floor, because if they don't pass it, it's never going to get to the floor.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Robin.
Yes, thanks, Robin. And I'm upping my game, y'all. I have a whole little PowerPoint for us today. First of all, we've all seen Hamilton, right?
Yes.
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 Okay. Just making sure. Okay, well, this is going to be extra fun. Supporting the Justice for Black Farmers Act, working on our activist postcards. And there's something big happening today, y'all. I want to shift our focus just a little bit to movers and shakers who are going to be instrumental in the passing of this bill, which includes a little mini musical. So I don't know about y'all, but I have been learning a lot about our legislative process and how the government works just through focusing in on this one bill. And I was doing a little research earlier, and this figure, Janet Yellen, popped up as I was looking into the Finance Committee. And tell me if you've heard of her yet. She's been tapped by Biden as the first Secretary of the Treasury who's a woman. Have y'all heard about her yet?
Yes.
Excellent. So the reason that the Secretary of the Treasury is important is because they're the intermediary between the House and, the White House and the Congress. So her perspective and her overall strategy for the United States finance or Treasury is going to be very important in whether or not this bill gets funded, how much it gets funded, and generally, if she's looking to stimulate the economy and to roll out new programs, then we're going to be in a much better position than if we had our former Secretary of the Treasury, Steven Mnuchin, in charge. And I also wanted to point out, as a woman, it's such a celebratory moment to have the first ever woman Secretary of the Treasury. Janet Yellen has an absolutely incredible resume, and let me pull out my notes here real quick. She was the first woman chair of the Federal Reserve. She's already broken that glass ceiling. She was on the Council of Economic Advisors and was heading the Treasury at a certain point. She's only 5'2", tiny little powerhouse of a person. And one thing that I just was thinking about is, whenever you're coming from a group that has historically been discriminated against, such as women, of course, there is our focus in general in these classes, people of color. I think you're able to empathize with other people who have been discriminated against more. Of course, this isn't always the case, but I think that with a female Secretary of Treasury, especially with her background of promoting different policies that are going to be cutting down, they won't be as corporation friendly. She's definitely looking to add more to the stimulus packages that are coming out. But the quote that came to mind for me with that intersectionality between, this is a kind of a feminist win to have a first woman Secretary of Treasury. I think that's going to be a good sign for people who are who are fighting the good fight for equality throughout the races, because as MLK said, injustice anywhere is a threat to injustice everywhere. We have a more equitable representation of men and women. Hopefully we'll get more equity in other areas. And Carol, yeah, it looks like you have
I think
It should be,
Jessica,
it's a threat to justice everywhere, not injustice.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's such a good point. Fix
Read
that.
it about that.
I think there's going to be also some resistance to her on the Republican side, because her philosophy, she has said, her philosophy is going to be, it's like the old don't ask permission, ask forgiveness. She's going to be about spending now and worrying about how we're going to pay for it later. And that's definitely against the Republican principle. So it's going to be interesting to see how she maneuvers this.
Well,
the Republicans always yammer about that, except when they give tax cuts to the rich. I mean, it's so bloody hypocritical.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm just saying, here she is doing the position, and with this very extreme in quotes position of let's spend what we need now and worry about how we're going to pay for it later, is contrary to the Republican principles.
Right, whether they abide by them or not. So there's a musical about it?
Well, and I wanted to mention too, in this moment, as we're considering both sides, the Finance Committee, this moment right now, Friday, January 22nd, is voting on whether or not she's going to get this position. So let's all take a minute and, say our prayers that Yellen gets appointed, because they are in there right now voting. And I've definitely got my hat in the ring for Janet Yellen.
I heard that there's a pretty much bipartisan agreement to give her the position. Knock on wood, prayers and all that. Absolutely. But I do think that it's going to be tough at times, which is okay.
Absolutely. So whenever Biden long ago first talked about nominating Janet Yellen, he made a joke that the Hamilton creator Lin-Manuel Miranda should write a musical about her, because of course he wrote Hamilton about the first Treasury Secretary ever, Alexander Hamilton. And now that she's the first woman, or will hopefully be the first female Secretary of the Treasury, Marketplace, that wonderful podcast, actually got the artist Dessa to create a rap in the style of Hamilton, celebrating Yellen. So I wanted to play it with you guys. A
little premature if she hasn't been voted in yet.
Well, it doesn't say she's in, but well, you'll hear it, and I'll go through the lyrics are written on here too, so we can listen and read the lyrics at the same time. So this is the Hamilton style rap about Janet Yellen.
Who's yelling now? Dumps on the left, hawks on the right, crosstalk in the flock trying to fight mid-flight. But here comes Yellen with that inside voice. Never mind the mild manner policies make noise. She's 5 foot nothing, but hand to God. She could pop a collar, she could rock a power bar. Bay Ridge represent, Brooklyn's in a cabinet. Damn, Janet, go and get it, picture like a president. I heard she called the house in crisis. It only took a couple centuries. The first female secretary of the Treasury. Don't want tax evasion, fortunes taken in the Treasury. Charging from higher wages for the nation. Less disparity. Watch your step, there's busted glass. Janet broke another ceiling, you can bet your brass that the Lego guy is leaving last check to cash. Excuse me, Janet has a briefing and a flight to catch. And Janet, she's the first that's led the council of economic advisors, treasuring the Fed. She needs a three-sided coin that always comes up heads to put the triple crown down when she goes to bed. Call the decorators, new boss in the office. Senders and the savers, watch the confirmation process. We got to meet it, now let's let her settle in. And lift up your mojitos, cause she manages the list. Who's yelling now? Who's yelling? Who's yelling now? Who's yelling now? Who's yelling? Who's yelling now?
Ah!
All right. So maybe it is a little premature, but goodness, I hope it's approved. Yeah, there's a whole marketplace special on this. I'll be sure to post it in our course, but I think it's another celebratory moment.
Okay, I don't know what marketplace is.
Oh, you've never heard Marketplace? It's on NPR. I'll pop it in the with the.
I don't listen to NPR, so I wouldn't know. Sorry.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I bet you have all kinds of great New York radio. NPR's like.
I don't listen to radio much.
Oh, really?
So,
Huh. Well, this is a good one. It's
Thank
like
you.
the money. It's the money hour. Anyway, so that's happening now. I can't believe I put injustice instead of justice, but thank you for the note, Carol. All
Yeah.
right.
Easily fixable.
And I wanted to come back, and I think I misspoke in a past class. I wanted to spend a moment while we're looking at important figures in the passage of this bill and how this bill is really going to make it to the actual, affecting the lives of Black farmers in the entire country. I think I mentioned that, oh my gosh.
Sustainable agriculture. Mhm.
Yes, sustainable agriculture. So this is Representative David Scott. I first heard about him in this webinar with Stacey Abrams about the Justice for Black Farmers Act. And Representative Scott is not going to be the new head of the USDA. I think that's what I said in the past. That is not true. He has been confirmed as the new chairman of the House Agriculture Committee. So very different, but also still very important. And hopefully once this bill is passed in the Senate, having it then approved in the House. So he is very supportive of the Justice for Black Farmers Act. You can check out that YouTube video webinar that I'll put in the resources as well. And yeah, just as Carol was noticing, he's pledged to advance sustainable agriculture, small family farms. I think it's really cool he's focused on getting internet out to rural areas. That's just a utility these days. And he is the first person of color, the first Black head of the House Agriculture Committee. So this is another really exciting appointment that is going to just do more for equality. So hooray.
Yes, I mean, it sounds like his principles are right. I just, thinking of people like Ben Carson, I have to say, just because you have a Black face doesn't mean you have your values right.
Thank you for pointing that out. It's absolutely essential to remember that. And I think that's why it's so useful or it's just essential to go in and research any person who maybe comes from a certain contingent,
Mm-hmm.
the head of freaking Secretary of Education. Oh God, that was a nightmare. That was a woman. She wasn't helping anybody.
No.
So both Janet Yellen and Representative Scott, though, have pledged that they are sharing values that will support the Justice for Black Farmers Act and general, especially for Yellen, she's focused on decreasing the wealth disparity in America. And that is incredibly intertwined with the racial injustice that we have in our country.
What's Scott's first name?
David.
Okay.
Write that down too. All right, so where is our bill now? So thanks to Robin, it is Bill S 4929 is the exact number that we're supporting here. First proposed on the floor November 30th, 2020 by Senator Cory Booker. At the moment, it's on hold. We know that that financial committee is at this moment deciding on whether or not Janet Yellen's going to be the new Secretary of the Treasury. But later on, they will look at this vote, or look to give a vote to decide if the bill will go out of committee, and then it will be seen on the Senate floor. And it is subject to review and alterations while it is in the Finance Committee. So this particular class, I'm thinking we think about 26 postcards to send to the Finance Committee. And it's right down the middle, half and half, Republican and Democratic. Let me show you the members here.
I was going to say, do we have the list? Good.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure if they've already updated this post-election cycle. I think they have.
Well, we can wait a week or
I
two.
just read this morning that they have not changed them all yet,
Okay.
the leadership.
So in that case, it could be, this is the last round of voting for this group before the new committee reforms. So maybe we're thinking more about, do we want different messaging for these two, for the two parties? Are we going to assume the Democrats are going to be coming from similar positions, and perhaps we want to have a different tone in our messaging in the postcards to the Republicans? Maybe we want to think about arguments or positioning that would be coming from.
Maggie Hassan is my.
Oh yeah, which one?
Maggie Hassan, Democrat, New Hampshire.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've got John Cornyn. He's my representative.
Good luck.
Right. He's no Ted Cruz, and that's at least we don't have two of them.
The benchmark is low, but it's there.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't know. Why would you think we need different messaging for the two?
I think the two parties are coming from very different ideological perspectives. I think, I mean, ideally, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but what first popped in my head is I would prefer to learn about each and every member of the Finance Committee and what their priorities are. Maybe just Google and see like what's on the top of their platform or their agenda as just from where they're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
No, that was it. Go ahead. Yeah.
I remember Debbie Stabenow. She's from Missouri.
Michigan? Oh, Missouri. Mm-hmm.
I think. What's MI? And she's pretty tied in with corporate farming, from what I remember, because I've, been active on Organic Consumer Association for decades now. Issues about organic farming and, keeping organic farming regulations from being eroded, et cetera, and getting funded. And I'm not sure. Yeah, she's the only one I know absolutely, anything tiny little bit about. None of the others do I know anything about.
Yeah. Certainly, I think if we want to keep it general and just say, hey, I'm a citizen and I support this bill, please pass it. There's a lot of mileage that ought to go.
Yeah, I think the same message could go to both. Were you feeling that, Judith?
Yes. We just have to craft it carefully, but I think so. And I think we should make it less complicated because I think this is only step one.
Such a good point. And
yeah,
I don't know when they're going to get to vote on it. So I'm not sure what our due date is.
And how much, can you write on a postcard anyway? Just bring attention to the bill and say, support it.
Absolutely.
I think that I'm willing to send an email to Cory Booker to ask him when the bill is going to be voted on, to let us know.
Judith,
Great.
because he's not on the committee, but he's, I'm sure, keeping track of it, and when
Sure.
would be the most important to send messages.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thanks, Judith. I feel like I'm learning so much more and being so much more of a real active citizen ever since I started this project than I ever learned about in school. So I'm like, maybe I need
Me
to
too.
some social studies teachers.
Will you be able to send us this slideshow when we're done?
Absolutely. And yeah, I can send it in PDF form. And I'll just email it to you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So just making sure I write that down so I don't forget.
That, just looking at that statistic is so painful.
And this again is from Robin. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Robin.
This is directly from the copy that she is putting on her postcards. She's going to have these statistics along with the numbers of, I'll show you right here what she wrote. And her postcard. This is what she made. Love that watercolor flower.
Yeah.
On there.
And this is what she's putting on the back. History of Black farmers, the percentages, the statistics, and then a big question, why? Vote yes on S4929.
Cool. Yay, Robin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with just doing that. I think that's a good message.
Cool. So then let's think about how we want to illustrate the front of the postcard versus the back of the postcard. We can look back at our Pinterest page for some inspiration. Or is there anything that visually has stood out to you as something you think would really work for this campaign?
Well, I don't know if we could just reverse a little bit what we said last week. I mean, what came up for me right now is to have the front of the postcard say, vote for Bill S4929, and on the back, the statistics that Robin had, and the punchline being, vote to plant the seeds of justice.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So same kind of seeds and
Yeah. Oh,
slogan.
yeah. What I think the front vote for Bill S4929 could have the seeds on it,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't get that much on the back.
No, yeah.
And then have the statistics on the back, and across the bottom, just write, vote to plant the seeds of justice.
I like
Just
it.
a thought.
So I'm thinking, I'm really loving, and both of y'all are in my normal art classes, you know, we've been doing a lot of flowers and bouquets. I love this image. I think I want to change the quote, but still have like a bouquet and put some vegetables in there. So there's like this pretty postcard with flowers and vegetables and abundance. And then I want to steal this quote, we can help each other flourish, and then put the same statistics on the back. That's going to be
Uh-huh.
And then I'm probably going to do a series, so I'll probably do the same thing you're doing too, Judith, with the seeds of justice. That's such a perfect.
Well, I'll do mine and I'll do yours. You know.
Let's do a bunch. We got 26 senators.
Yeah, but they won't all see they only see one postcard. So in some ways, and this is again, I'm looking at conservation of energy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Doing one postcard to the 26 now, they're not all going to see, they're all going to see only their one postcard, and spend our time after that doing different postcards to the 100 senators when the time comes. just because it's more fun to do a couple of them. But again, they will only see one.
Well,
But
why would they see only one? I mean, if each of us manages to send a postcard to
All
each
right,
of
they'll see at least
us,
three.
no, I mean, they'll only see one of mine. So whether I do one postcard or I do 4 postcards,
yeah, one
they'll
design.
only see one of mine, they'll see one of yours. So in some ways, I suggest that we all do a different postcard.
So maybe I can put together like a spreadsheet or something.
I'd like to show you one. I mean, I know this isn't as artistic, but I liked the boldness of just justice. And then I could write the number underneath it. And I mean, I thought about what kind of sort of background design it could be, something like fruits and vegetables or just a color. Somehow to me, that statement just like a kind of clarion call.
Justice for Black farmers, you mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
I think that's,
as I say, it's not as, I mean, I've done a couple of the ones with the seeds and the flower, and I like them. I'm not against them. I just also like this like blast of.
Well, that's why this is
Well,
the art part of things. We all are moved by different visuals and messaging. We all have our own style, and that is part of the magic that hopefully will come across. Is if we're putting our heart into it, hopefully they'll pick up on that.
Oh, you know what? I just got an amazing idea that came partly from what you just showed us, Jessica, of the faces. Like, what if in the flower, and this takes a little more artistic skill, but you're the portrait person. What if in the flower you actually had faces in the petals?
Interesting, like Black farmer faces.
Yeah.
I like that.
I leave that to you guys.
I don't think I can execute it, but I like.
I would do like a super simple version for sure. But happy flowers with little people in the in the faces. I might have to play around with that design before I do anything.
Yeah, and then then I like this flower, and Robin's flower was quite a bit like this, but then I wondered, well, should it be more of a burst flower, like more,
I love burst, celebratory.
More celebration and more energy. I don't know, I'm playing around.
Well, I know for sure I've got to give myself lots of guidelines for this comes out looking.
And could you say again, Judith, you said the size should be
4 by 6
to be printable.
For a cheaper deal.
If 100 of 4 by 6 is $38, 100 of 5 by 7 is 80 some odd dollars.
Wait, say that the 4 by 6 is more than?
I posted it. You can look in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Not in the chat, in the course.
Yeah.
4 by 6 was $38 and 5 by 7 was 80 some odd dollars.
Oh, yeah.
So I was thinking if I was going to do 400 of them, I'm not doing. Plus we have to pay for the postage,
Right.
Wait.
So the 4 by 6 must fit on the standard sheet of paper.
They'll crop it, and
Yep.
they can. And even if I said something about doing 4 up on one page, and she said we can only do 1 at a time, so don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to do 4 on a page, but they're going to focus in when they shoot it to duplicate it. They'll focus on 1 at a time.
I'm trimming it out to my 4 by 6. This is very helpful. And I'm just going to say, from again the artwork perspective, I'm kind of wanting to do several versions of these and see which one I like the best, and really find one that I can that I feel like is the best version. And that's probably going to be the one I make copies of. I'll probably just send the other originals to the senators, but the one I make copies of, I'm just gonna see, because I know I get better every single time I do a study of even the same thing over and over again. So I think it might take a few practice sketches before I find the one that I'm like, this is the one I'm gonna take to Kinko's. But 4x6 is such a helpful measurement.
Yeah, I don't know if these templates are 4x6.
It doesn't matter. My pad is 9x12 or something, and I just drew out 4x6s on them.
Yeah, I guess I didn't. I drew 4.5x6s.
Yeah, I had to cut mine down. I mean, I'll show you what I did. Remember last week we did the seeds? Can you see this? I had to cut down my seeds to get it to.
Oh, yeah. Or you have to make them, if you want the whole seed, then you have to move them up.
I didn't think it was important to have the whole seed, that this kind of got it across, and
then you don't have to draw. I felt obliged to draw roots, so then you don't feel.
yeah, no.
Oh boy.
The only thing about yours, Carol, and I'm thinking about this out loud, is if my friend of the postcard says justice for Black farmers, and you're a person who doesn't care about Black farmers, will you even turn it over?
Well,
You know?
I see that we're sending the message, at least.
So whereas the one that says plant the seeds, they have to turn it over to even see what.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hear you, Judith. But maybe the postcard will come in upside down without not the image.
You realize they don't get the postcard. Their office person gets it, and
yeah,
it'll be on a pile. But I'm doing it because I like it. But I'm just thinking out loud. In the same way, if I just did vote for S4929, will they even know what that is? So they'll have to turn it over.
I'm so curious about this question, because I think it gets down to how much are our representatives looking to our input, or are they just thinking about only, the people who voted them in and using those agendas? Like, are they going to be swayed? Because we're not writing on our postcards who we voted for, I guess. I don't know.
And they're not even going to know where it came from unless they look at the postmark.
Well, I guess I'm certainly going to tell John Cornyn in my postcard for him, I'm like, hey, you're my senator. Please do what I say.
But to the others, you're not.
No.
So they're not going to know whether you're a constituent or you're a New Yorker.
Well, and that's why I was thinking, if I somehow end up with hours of extra time, it would be helpful to learn about their background and see if there's some way I can make a connection to, like, oh, hey, because that's something I wanted to mention about. Let me show you my screen. The Justice for Black Farmers Act is not only serving Black farmers. I was looking at it again today, and one of the clauses is to assist all socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers. And so not only Black farmers have been suffering under the policies that we've got. This says the act will substantially increase funding for USDA technical assistance and for programs such as these initials that I don't know what they are, but I want to learn more about them. So more to come on that.
Oh, so maybe I'm going to change mine to Justice for Farmers.
Certainly. I mean, there's been a lot of problems. And then enact system reforms to help all farmers and ranchers. In order for existing Black farmers and new Black farmers created by this bill to have a real chance to succeed and thrive, broader reforms to our broken food system must be enacted. The Justice for Black Farmers Act substantially reforms and strengthens the Packers and Stockyards Act in order to stop abusive practices by big multinational meat packing companies and protect all family farmers and ranchers.
Yeah, but the name of the bill is,
The Justice for Black Farmers Act.
so I'm gonna keep Black farmers.
Yeah, but that's an interesting road we could certainly go down. Is justice for Black farmers is justice for all disadvantaged farmers. Maybe something along those lines.
Yeah, that might be a little too granular, but
Yeah, I'm thinking like in my head, I just saw like a Venn diagram. Maybe I can find some way to visually illustrate, how this isn't only going to help Black farmers, but certainly, I mean, our country, especially our Republicans, seem really focused on farmers. But if they're not thinking about the disadvantaged farmers, I mean, if you're a small family farmer, I think from my limited understanding, there have been huge challenges as big, giant corporate farming complexes have come in and sort of taken away jobs.
well, maybe it's a vote for S4929 is the vote for all disadvantaged farmers.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a very good one. Maybe that's the message we send to the Republican senators.
I think it can be to all, but
Sure.
You can do two.
Yeah. We can.
I like the words, we can help each other flourish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether that fits for this cause.
I see it. I mean, I think that's my vision of it in action is I've got this.
But it's not each other in this case. It might be, we can help farmers flourish, we can help America flourish. It's not.
I see it as we're helping each other flourish. I mean, we're supporting or suggesting this
People
to
who
our,
grow food, so sorry.
yeah, to me, I'm seeing the connection, even the people who are on Capitol Hill, they might seem very removed from Black farmers, but they're part of each other, those people who are very far away from farms are helping the farmers flourish. And then when farmers flourish, everyone gets better food. We have a stronger foundation of security for the whole country.
Yeah, I see it as each other too, because of that. Yeah, we're eating their food.
And we're
Okay.
less reliant on outside.
I don't, but we're making different postcards. That's fine.
Yeah.
No,
Mhm.
I'm not trying to persuade anybody out of
Yeah.
in or out of anything. I just can see why, for me, each other works.
Mm-hmm. So do we refer to this as just S4929 or Bill S4929?
I've seen it mostly. Let me see what it looks like. It seems like often when it's referred to, they go just straight for S4929, but I'm not sure what the grammar is for referring to. Bill.
In the document itself, does it keep referring to it as with the word bill or without?
Let me see. Okay, really? All information for S2949. Because they haven't voted on it yet, I'm not seeing a lot of references to it.
Okay. Thanks.
don't have an answer for you.
Well, that's my answer.
It seems like, where did it go? Yeah, who knows?
Oh, another way, help farmers flourish, vote for.
Summary of S4929, text for S4929. So it seems like just straight S4929 is appropriate. I am already looking forward to, you know, as we continue to follow the life of this bill, I feel like we've learned so much about the process. I'm like, I wonder what the next bill we're going to focus on is going to be. Hopefully there'll be more anti-racist policy to promote. Because now I know how the House passes a bill beyond just the
You know where peanuts are grown?
Nope.
I'm gonna look it up.
I mean, we
In
grew
the
up here.
South in general.
Yeah,
Say
we grew
again.
up in Texas.
Say that again.
Well, it's basically the South. We don't grow them up here in New England.
But we do grow them in America.
Oh, yeah.
Because I heard today that it takes 540 peanuts to make 1 jar of peanut butter.
Wow.
The individual little peanuts or the whole peanut pod?
Probably the individual peanuts, I would think.
Probably the individual peanuts, but that's 200.
40 is a lot of peanuts in
Yeah.
a jar.
We grew
The
peanuts.
270 peanut pods, if there are 2 peanuts in it, is still a lot.
It was Booker T. Washington, right? Who did all the research about uses of peanuts, the black man in the South.
Oh, yeah.
I believe so. Our students loved growing peanuts in the school gardens. They're really fun.
Excuse me.
Bless you. You could actually grow them just as like a home garden crop.
Absolutely.
Cool.
They're really fun because it's all underground. It's, you know, like pulling up carrots at the end of the season. You've been growing them and you have no idea how many peanuts or carrots you got, and then you pull up the plant and they're just all down there. And then fresh peanuts are just super fun to roast, or I guess you can eat them raw, but I don't know.
And there's so many peanut allergies. It's really interesting. Because we grew up with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
No one knew about allergies.
I'm sure that somebody had to have them. Maybe they just weren't.
Yeah, no one publicized it. I mean, the schools didn't prohibit peanut butters as they do now, peanuts as they do now, airplanes, you know, it's like a whole different, it's so interesting.
Well, it is interesting. And with a lot of these things, I wonder how much it's the bad farming practices now that have made things allergic and not maybe the native substance of peanut itself. You know, if they're raised with a lot more toxins, et cetera, that maybe it's a toxin allergy.
Well, that's an interesting question.
I was thinking it might have more to do with how many lawsuits happened, but who knows?
But I've had the same question about, you know, a lot of things, not just peanuts, you know, like weed allergies and, you know, all the myriad ones.
I have followed, or I remember hearing about the hygiene hypothesis. Y'all heard about that?
No.
It's basically the idea that kids used to be exposed to more allergens and just general germs, and that the less that kids are playing outside and the less early exposure that they have to a lot of things actually leads them to become intolerant of them later on. And so the increase in like not just hygiene, but like extreme hygiene of, I don't know, helicopter moms keeping you away from ever going outside and playing in the sand or something.
Making
Has,
my
like, yeah, it's like little bodies, they just don't get the resilience that they used to.
Makes sense. I have heard that theory. I think they actually sell dirt now.
I remember when we were younger and we went to we were in college and we went to Europe the first time. I came back with a can of air from Barcelona.
Really?
Yeah, it was a big thing then to do that.
Well, was it good air or polluted air?
Ah, ha, ha. Very funny, Carol.
No, I'm sorry, my ignorance. I'm asking.
But no, it was, you bought it. It was, it said, who knew what was in it?
Just the air of Barcelona, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I came back with water from Chalice Well, so maybe people come back with air from other sacred sites.
Mm.
Oh boy.
Let's see. It takes me so long just to get my lettering even vaguely even. And I'm still not happy with it.
Oh, I got another card done.
Wow, doing it fast.
I want to show you my card. I'm excited. So at the bottom corner.
Hold it back just a tiny bit. Oh, heck yes. I love your corn. That's a great little corn.
Very cool. What were the words on the bottom? I couldn't quite make out.
Will help farmers flourish.
Help farmers flourish. Great.
Will help for a vote for S4929 will help farmers flourish.
Cool.
That's awesome. Hearing, I'm just trying to draw a straight line. Well, do y'all have any fun weekend plans ahead or staying in as usual?
So I have had a very interesting experience while you guys draw.
Mm-hmm.
About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I got an email from the Greenwich Village Restoration Society. And I've been giving them money the past couple of years. I've never read their emails. I've never cared. It just, I supported them, but I wasn't doing their walking tours or their seminars or anything. But I'm walking away for a minute. Well, I'll get it later. The top thing in this email was about a book that they were going to have a talk about that was called Walking Manhattan Sideways. And it was about a woman who walked every side street from 1st Street to 155th Street. The goal, and her husband joined her on weekends. I don't know what he did, what his job was. And her goal was to speak to all the little shop owners, no big stores or anything, but shop owners that have been around for a long time, like the history of New York through small shops. And I thought, oh, that's cool. And they said that the book was being sold at a little bookstore in the West Village that I had never heard of. So my walking partner, Carol, and I walked over and we bought the book. I'm going to go over and get it. So this is the book.
Ooh, cool.
big, heavy. And what she does is she finds, okay, so she finds a store that's unique. You know, this one makes ties, this one makes hats. And she talks to the owners and she gets a photo, etc. Took her 6 years and she walked all of the blocks from First to 155th. So we go on this talk, and it's this woman, Betsy, who wrote the book. It's the owner of the bookstore that we had gone to, which is in the West Village, and it was the owner of a small French antique store a block away from the bookstore. So I said to Carol, let's walk over to the antique store. We've walked on the block a million times. We've never noticed this antique store. It is so small that it's the size of my kitchen. I mean, 3 of us barely got in it. And Noelle, the owner, told us that she came 35, 40 years ago from Paris. And she opened this little bookstore. She lives above it. And she's been doing this all this time. And I'm telling you, we could barely breathe, forget the masks. But she was delightful. So the next week we get another email, and the top thing in the email is about the 4th Street photo gallery. So I said, you know, I live on 10th Street. Let's walk over to 4th Street. And we walk over and we meet Alex, an African-American man who came up from the South and 50 years ago opened this shop. Okay, opened this shop.
Mm-hmm.
That's Alex. 50 years ago, the shop has been there 50 years. It is so small. Again, Carol, Alex, and I barely all fit in it. It's filled with antique cameras and photos. And he tells us he opened the shop not only for his own work, but to mentor young artists. Two of whom he's proud to say went on to get, I want to say Fulbrights, but that's the wrong award. Some big award like that. Mm-hmm. 3 of whom have had books published. You know, he's like proud of all of his mentees.
Yeah.
And so we've been using this book and walking around and meeting all these incredible shop owners. It's been so wonderful. And my other friend gave me this book, which at least is by, it's by neighborhood. Walking Manhattan Sideways is a little difficult because it's by theme. So it's like all the bookstores. But if we want to go out and pick someplace, we have to find someplace in the neighborhood. This one we haven't started using yet, but it's by area. And so I've been having a ball. And when people say, you know, aren't you locked into your apartment in New York? I'm not.
That's so great. I love it.
I love it, Judith. You and my mother would have absolutely been kindred souls. She loved New York, and she was always great at finding the out of the way things and the free things. And she took us up into the Jefferson Library clock tower that you could get in behind the clock, and all these crazy.
I haven't done that. I just found out, and that's like 5 blocks from me. I just found out that you could take a tour pre-COVID, and that you could go up in the clock tower, and also the basement has books, maps, and displays all about New York for researchers. I had no idea. It's 5 blocks away from me.
Wow. So many treasures. I love the idea of what you're doing and the people who inspired you. But I mean, you were already walking and drawing from your walk. So you were already really
right.
taking
I haven't been drawing because of all of Jessica's classes. Not that I'm complaining, Jessica. I haven't done my 7th and 8th diary drawings that I wanted to do.
Well, we'll have lots of urban sketching ahead, so.
Jessica, I know this is not the right class, but I just have to tell you, when you posted your final bouquet, I was so, I mean, it's, my heart opened. It was so beautiful.
Oh,
And I went back to mine and I thought, it's too late for me to expand it like that, but I added a couple of falling petals.
okay.
Oh,
Honestly, Judith, I was as surprised as you are. By the time I finished, I was like, oh, this is good.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna do another one that's like yours, and it takes a while to do these, as you know. And I've been turning them into cards, so at least I feel like, all right, if I spend a lot of time on it, it's going to bring someone else joy.
And I want to mention, what surprised me about that one was I had so many little lines, especially like some of the flowers popping out the outside that were just very loose, unplanned, squiggly flowers, just very suggestive. And or even like little tiny little 5-petal flowers, like even that touch, I was like, wow, this is very
I loved it. I mean, it opened up my heart. My heart swelled.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'll be doing more of them because it was so fun to do too.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do one too. But that's why I never get to do my drawing of what I see on the streets anymore, because I'm always doing your assignments now. I'm never, ever, ever going to care, like Carol, I'm sure will, so she'll do it for me, about mixing colors and being careful about colors. It's just so doesn't speak to me at all. But these projects where I end up with things that I can send to people and bring them joy make me very happy.
Yay. And I'm kind of doing a little background check-in, but are there any urban scenes as you're walking around, or like what are situations that you're in on your walks where you feel like you could stop and walk? Are there benches or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There are benches all over. And so, I mean, I've stopped taking photos of things I could draw because I had too many photos.
Yeah.
It was just too much. But I'll get back to it eventually. It will never, I mean, I'll never lose it now, even when COVID's over, but I figure we have another year before I have to worry.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it is officially 11:04.
So let me see what Carol's done and what you've done.
I just made I didn't do a whole new, I just made some notes and colored the ones I'd done, so I have nothing new.
Well, let me see the colors. You're much better than I am with colors. I like
Well,
what you do.
I still was considering this
Oh,
pointy
yay.
flower, but I surrounded it with some blue. I highlighted, I was into my blue gel pen. I highlighted the justice and wrote the bill number. And this one, I had a total failure of trying to put a face in a petal. That's not going to be my thing, although I love the idea, but.
Yeah, it was a good idea, but I knew I wouldn't be able to do that.
So that's, and then I just made some notes, like I like the, vote for will help all farmers flourish. I might incorporate that into one too. I like that, Judith.
Good. I don't know that you need the word all. I'm kind of trying to keep these short so we can get bigger letters. Will help farmers flourish, I think, is probably all you need.
Yeah, it doesn't need to have the all. You're right. Will help. Vote for it. And maybe you don't even.
I made it a vote for. A vote for S4929 will help farmers flourish.
Because if you just say vote for, the sense.
Then it would be.
For help farmers flourish. You don't need the will.
It could be vote for 4929 to help farmers flourish.
Or the sense of a comma, just do this, help.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Any of the above grammar would work, I think.
Yep, I agree.
I like your idea, though. I liked it.
So normally I'm not a perfectionist, but I feel like I should be with this. And I've gotten 3 letters so far because I had to keep erasing. And eventually I was like, all right, I need to divide this. And now I've got what's going to be a very nice, neat, we can help each other. And then I'm going to have a very scripty flourish. I'm going to use like a, fancy twirly whirly font. And then I'll put the flowers that Judith and I have been talking about. I think I'm going to do that same vibe now that I've got it looking good. So mine's just going to be, we can help each other flourish, and then message on the back.
Yeah, after we get a week or two of these, and we're done with this, we have to work on what are we going to put on the back.
Mhm.
But-
Yeah, what's your message going to be? I feel like that's personal too, but we'll certainly have lots of facts and figures to.
I think Robin's facts and figures were enough. Some seedy kind, some message, some message across the bottom.
Sure.
But I'm gonna write to Cory Booker.
Great. Thank you for that.
He's probably very busy right now, but his office might answer.
And
The question is, when will Bill S-4929 go in front of the members of the Senate Finance Committee?
Great.
We want to send postcards to encourage them to vote for it, kind of thing.
Mhm.
good. And I will get in touch with my senator who's actually on the committee. I can phone her office. They're very good about, I'll at least talk to one of her aides.
Oh, great. She might have the answer before I even hear back from Cory Booker.
Well, maybe not if it hasn't had a chance to get to the committee yet. They've been
Oh, right.
pretty focused, but I'll at least express my knowledge and concern about it and see what they have to say, and I'll report back on that.
Excellent.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm just getting so moved hearing how you guys are like, I'm calling this senator and I'm talking to that person. And here we are, like, really doing something for anti-racist policy. And just think, months ago, we didn't know what anti-racist policy meant. So what a great week.
Thank you so much for doing that. Send us the PowerPoint.
Will do. Have a great weekend, y'all. It's always such a pleasure.